Hey everyone, Wander here, and welcome back to some more Lumentale. I've got my Dino PNG Cuber on. You know what? I am a Lumen today, question mark. Whoops, that's not the right ball. Run away. I don't need to do it. So where the heck am I going and why? I don't remember. We've got a gym, like, way off the other direction. But it feels like I kind of want to just look at this, just to, see what I can find and do. I've been in a big explore everything brain mode. I think part of it is like, I find the gyms and the story stuff charming, but also, cumbersome. Weirdly, I kind of want to play a Monster Collection game at some point that involves no plot, talking. I want a pure Monster Collection game. You know, sure, you can keep all of the, well, I don't know. Like, keep all of the exploration and the gyms and stuff, but there's just, at no point does the game ask you to talk to characters? I don't know. I don't know how to think about it. Because you could 100% have one of these games be completely wordless. You know, all you just need is symbols and numbers. But no, that would get really boring. Really fast, actually. Because the problem is if it's all symbols and numbers... Well, okay. What if it was all symbols and numbers, but it was actually... Oh, shit. What if it was Tunic? So, Tunic is, if you haven't seen it before, it is a pretty hard Zelda-like, where you're this cute fox exploring this kind of dark fantasy world filled with deadly enemies that will try and stop you. Let's just do an encourage. Because I don't think he's really much of a threat yet. Barely does any damage. I just want to get my health back. Let's see what flaming arrows looks like. If it kills him, it kills him. We've got plenty of opportunities to heal. Let's see, go for that. But the thing about Tunic that makes it kind of cool is that, to my knowledge, it doesn't use a single written word. There is no text in that game. Or if there is text, it's like a little bit, but most of the game is communicated entirely through its extensive in-game manual that you don't have access to at the beginning of the game, that you're actually, like, gaining more pages and learning secrets and systems, and it's packed with, like, little hints like, hey, by the way, there's a secret back there. But only if you're paying attention to the context clues in the, damn, okay, what the hell is this place? Only if you're paying attention to, like, the writing in the margins. And I think that's actually really neat. Oh, okay, so this is a camp. I guess we have people that I could fight. Because, yeah, there's a guy here. Sure. Worst comes to worst, I just end up being more overpowered than I already am. Or he kicks my ass. They sent me here to do my duty, but I've been here for hours. I need a little stretch. But I think it would be really interesting to play a Monster Collection game like that. Maybe have the format be closer to, like, Digimon World 1. That is... Ooh, that's a new guy I haven't seen before. Also, they're only level 30, so this is going to be a complete stomp. Fire charge. Damn. Thank you, fellow. Oh. Well, there goes whatever that little thing is. Whatever. We'll find another. Let's see. Pyro charge. Just hit the Lapiuna. It doesn't finish the other one off. Because the Gribbling gets a hit. I'm not too worried. It's a Gribbling. Never mind, can't do anything. It's fine. I don't know. I've been thinking about that over the course of this game. That, you know, even on my... I guess it was my second video that I put out on this game. I had made a comment to the extent of, like, I think I called it, this is the perfect Pokemon fan game, and I stand by that for the most part, except for, I guess, the writing in that one last city that we did. I thought that plotline was still extremely stupid, and I'm still kind of mad about it. Let's just energize Impetoad. But it still does feel like the Monster Collection genre is wildly overshadowed by Pokemon in a bad way. That every time a new Monster Collection game comes out, the conversation always goes back to two questions. You know, why did you just make Pokemon again? And no thanks, I'd rather just go play Pokemon. Which, ooh, that's a new dude. You know what? No. And I guess I should just run into one of them. The hell are you? Oh, it's the weird alpaca thing. It turns into that? What? I don't like it. Its face terrifies me. It looks like somebody like took an alpaca, like one of the little water alpaca guys, and then like cyberpunked its face into a fire hose in a bad way. Like, it's got weird bug eyes and everything. I know it's supposed to be like a spray nozzle, but that's terrifying. Oh, I was supposed to catch that. Well, it's okay. We can find another one. It's not like they don't just come back. Oops. Guess I gotta go the other direction or activate that. Perfect. But, so the problem with that conversation is, let's see. There is the expectation that every single Monster Collection game has to both be different enough from Pokemon that people will be willing to play it, while also similar enough to Pokemon that people will be willing to play it. I think that's like a really rough state for any game to be. Any game, any genre to be. And I think this is problem with like a number of like heavily oversaturated genres, maybe. So easy example of this would be like Metroidvanias at this point. For a while, there just weren't that many Metroidvanias. It was kind of easy to just be like, you know, whatever. You know, sure, I'll play Ghost Song. Sure, I'll play Hollow Knight. Except for the problem is then Hollow Knight comes out and everybody's like, why would I play this when Hollow Knight exists? And it's like, no, there's really good Metroidvanias out there. You just have to be willing to play them. But the genre is so dominated by like one single game and one single, I guess, subgenre of games that it becomes like impossible to escape. Same thing happens, I guess, with Souls-likes. Whereas, what's an example where that's not as true? I mean, I guess to a lesser degree, RPGs. The problem is just convincing people to play RPGs at all is tricky. Like, there's a lot of really good RPGs out there that just don't get any kind of love. I'm thinking like Cosmic Star Heroine, if you've ever heard of that one. I will probably do a series on that, just for the sake of my own satisfaction. I feel like they gave up making a city here. Hornsbilia. Oh, maybe it either turns a dude horns, or it's better against horns. I have no idea. Let's see. I don't know. I think in general, one of the biggest issues that the games industry has to deal with is visibility. Back in the day when, you know, there were only X number of games coming out, it was kind of easy. As long as you made a good game, your game would stand out, and you could just rely on that. It's a lot harder nowadays when there's like 20,000 games coming out in a freaking given year. Like, how do you even stand out in a situation like that? You kind of don't. Are you tall enough for me to hit? No, his hitbox is small. It's fine. There's just two of them. Easy enough to knock out. But to go back to the original topic on this one is that I am still kind of hoping that Monster Collection games really start figuring out how to stand out without just being Pokemon again. In a lot of cases, because it still does feel like I'm just playing Pokemon again, and that the gameplay and design space is so hard locked to so many Pokemon-centric things that the novelty wears off, I think, faster than some other Monster Collection games. Example one that didn't, at least for me, is I really liked Aethermancer, the next game by the Monster Sanctuary developers. This really should surprise nobody that I have this opinion. I love that. I adore Monster Sanctuary. And anything that comes out of it. I think the big issue with that one mostly boiled down to because it was a roguelike, it was just a little too short. And so I wasn't able to fully enjoy playing more of it. But the combat system was solid. And so I'm specifically enjoying this one because I actually haven't played a Pokemon game in a couple of years. Last one I played was Scarlet Violet. Let's see. And even then it was like at launch, just on my own with my wife. I wasn't trying to do a series on it or anything like that. And so enough time has passed that I don't mind. I want to go back and play Pokemon Zaw, but it's like kind of low on my priority list because, I mean, it already came out, and I don't think a whole lot of people are like interested in watching me play Pokemon games. Maybe they are. You know, maybe I could actually get away with covering some Pokemon games again. I just don't know if I want to play all of them. They do tend a little long. And I'm kind of waiting for them to have a structure more like this one, where if they go open world, it's not this like massive open world that's boring as hell. I like open world where the format is that of like an old school Pokemon game, but you're not restricted. Oh, have I never scanned this sucker? I don't even know if I've caught one. I think I might have scanned one of them. Well, I guess I'll finish that off. This is gonna say about anything. Have I caught one? I have no idea. I'll catch another. I got 43 billion plus. I can do whatever I want. But part of the reason why I bring this up is there's a an Autopets game called Botomon that my buddy Retromation has been playing extensively over the last couple of weeks, and I just gotten a key for it from the, or I got a key for it from the developer. I think it was just for the demo, but hey. Dark Bolt, that's interesting. And I had been looking at it and being like, yeah, but it's just kind of Pokemon again. But then I was thinking about it, and it's like, no, I actually really like auto battlers. Things like Super Auto Pets, for example. Like, I actually really enjoy those games. I think they're neat. And I was thinking to myself, like, I kind of would adore one of these Monster Collection games to just go full Super Auto Pets. Like, imagine Super Auto Pets, but like formatted like a Pokemon full like campaign RPG playthrough. I think that would be sick as hell. Because my problem with a lot of the like Super Auto Pets things is mostly just that I find them too short to enjoy. I have this problem with a lot of auto battlers specifically. The entire premise is that you put together like a complex team and send them off to, you know, fight other players, and whoever wins 10 times wins the, you know, not wins the run, but gets a crown and then moves on. And if you don't win, well, you don't win and you just start over, try again. There's literally like no, oops, whatever. There's no penalty for failure apart from just starting the run over, but there's also no reward for victory other than feeling like, oh, I made a good run, build, and then you're done. And the same thing is true of roguelikes, but at least there's kind of longer trajectory, I find most auto battlers tend to be short, to the tune of like 15-20 minutes per run, give or take, as opposed to more. And I really like the idea of auto battlers nowadays. I mean, look at what I'm doing here. I'm firing electro bolts. Maybe there was a weakness, didn't matter. But like, I'm barely paying any attention to what I'm doing playing this game, because for the most part, I'm just letting it play itself. I'm just well, okay, I'm not letting it play itself. I'd like to let it play itself. And in a lot of these cases with fights, I'm kind of just brain off, press button, go. Unless it's like a fight where I clearly need to care. Like, unless it's a fight where I like clearly need to care and have to hedge my strategy around, you know, like, oh shoot, these guys are the same level as me and they're kicking my ass if I play stupid. And of course they know all my weaknesses and I don't know any of theirs. You know, unless I'm in a situation like that, I am really not thinking too hard about any of this. Hence why I wish every single RPG just had a really basic auto battle mode. And so for this, as tacky as it would be, it's just use most super effective move on, you know, enemy. And if you have nothing, oh well, just fire. Or it just picks whatever the top move is, or who knows what. Really, the Final Fantasy XII Gambit system would be fantastic. Hey, if enemy has, you know, weakness to plant, use Sprouting Blow. It's not much. You can just program that stuff in and it'd be fine. I don't know where I'm going here, actually. Oh, maybe I can change the direction if I go south. But because this is so repetitive, one, you know, I'm glad I can just chuck the, I can just chuck my device at a enemy and not have to fight them most of the time. But even when we get into the fights, I kind of wish I wasn't fighting them. I didn't have to keep picking, oh, it's one of these guys again, hit them with that move. I might have to go down. Is that it? Am I going to have to go down to, like, switch some switches around? I might have to. Because I got nothing. I have no way of interacting with the rest of this. There's a small ramp there. Or, oh. No, I did do this. Oh, there's one up there. Oh, hold up. I might have done this wrong. Or, well, not wrong. There. I think that's it. I just had to flip that there, and now I have access to everything. Just getting out of here. Yep. Now we're good. Good to go. But so, well, I like the idea of, you know, these monster collection RPGs and turn-based RPGs in general having baked-in auto battle. I honestly think it would actually be more fun if more of these games did actually just have baked-in auto battle. Not baked in, but like fully featured, like deep levels of auto battling, where you can just kind of program in how your characters behave in combat and just let it rip, especially for like the random grunt fights, especially. And the weird part about a lot of this is, like, you would think if the game played itself for every fight, you as a player would tune out. I'm not sure if that would be true, especially if the fights are kind of quick. Because right now, the biggest slowdown is the fact that it, like, goes through this, you know, that guy faints, then it's my turn, then I have to flip through a little bit of UI, then I have to fire this move off, then we wait for a little bit as he charges up, and then moves over, and then hits, and then comes back. If this was just, like, one smooth, full auto battle, depending on, like, what, whatever these guys are pre-programmed to do, you know, in these circumstances, it would be much smoother. And so, while I wouldn't be, well, I would still be maybe the same levels of checked out as if I had to control it. And control it, I think it would feel more satisfying and faster in a way that would feel good. Because I think when I'm just sitting there controlling something, being like, okay, use sprouting blow on the water guy, I think it suffers from, here, let's hit him. I think it suffers from been there, done that syndrome with a lot of these fights, where it's like, I literally have done this fight before, and I don't care to do it again, over and over and over again. But, you know, with the way the game works, I have no choice. And so I think it creates this bizarre fatigue where I almost don't want to be playing the game, even though I want to keep playing the game, because the repetition gets to me. Hence the desire for a game that plays itself for at least a decent amount of fights. But I think it would be even more interesting if it was, no, just every fight. So, one of my favorite things about the Elite Four when I was a kid, when I was a dumb kid and probably didn't know how to make like good team comps for Pokemon, and I wasn't wildly overleveled, is that I really did have to think about like, okay, so this Elite Four member is going to have like ghost types. Okay, so I need to make sure I have at least 1 or 2 Pokemon that can handle ghost types. Otherwise, I'm going to reach that one and struggle. Nowadays, I just save up all of my healing items so I get to that point, and I'm like, oh, you know, I lost half my team fighting this Elite Four member. Whatever, don't care. Just immediately going to... I'm just going to immediately max revive everybody up to full and then continue on and not think about any of this stuff. I probably had that opportunity when I was young, too. I just was not thinking, did not know. But the thing about it, you know, back then was it was extremely satisfying trying to figure out the exact team composition that would let me win, obviously. But that meant like a decent amount of thought spent, you know, trying to think of and develop. Wait, how that? Oh, I see. I dropped down here. Trying to think of and develop what my team composition was going to be to have a chance, you know, in this, you know, what is it, 4 or 5 fight tournament. Because I wasn't using too many of my healing items. I wasn't that appraised of like type weaknesses and abilities and stuff. And also like original Pokemon, I want to say it was harder. You didn't have as many like cool abilities to be able to like min-max your way through fights. And there were some that were like much trickier to deal with than others. Like Ghost in general, I think was a serious issue. Because there wasn't a whole lot that Ghost was weak to, and there was not a whole lot that was strong against Ghost. Anywho, let's see. And I think it actually could be really satisfying from like a game design, gameplay perspective, where you actively have to care deeply about what your team composition is going into the final fight. Because once you've gone in, there's no coming out, you can't use items. It is just, is my team good enough to take on this legitimately, potentially quite challenging gauntlet? Because for me, in a lot of cases, the joy of monster collection games is, I mean, yes, finding and capturing the various monsters and putting them on my team. Hey man, want to fight? I suppose. You know, finding all the different monsters, putting them on my team, seeing what they're good at and what they're not good at. I think the unfortunate part I'm running into on this one is that most of these monsters don't actually do anything terribly interesting. You know, we have a couple that add like a stat of, like a small stat booster to allies. We do have an AoE heal, which I think is actually quite good, but for the most part I've just loaded all of my guys up with 2 to 3 different types of moves that can properly exploit my opponent's weaknesses. I just have to hope that whatever they're using isn't just going to wipe the floor with all my guys beforehand. What I'm looking for are cool proc moves. You know, imagine if like, hey, when my Temtem is healed, like imagine if moves had trigger effects. Oh. It's the Lampeco evolution. But the, yeah, Luxeco. But the non-shiny version. Or lost, sorry. Should probably save. But for me, the joy of a lot of these games is cobbling together my team and figuring out, like, what's a good combo. But I haven't really been seeing a whole lot of abilities and effects and moves that make me want to put teams together. So what I was thinking is, like, yeah, what if Meteor had, like, a fire move that only triggered when Meteor was healed? And so I built this kind of really goofy, oh, you're here to fight? Never seen you before. Let me introduce myself. My name's Ariete, and I'm a captain, diamond rank. Now the formalities are out of the way. Trey, I'm going to teach you how important it is to keep your cool no matter what. Oh, she ice type primarily? Oh, this is going to be funny. Let's see what I was going to say. You know, having some kind of team composition that is built in such a way where all of my guys are largely just set up. Do I want to do the pyro charge? No, let's go for this. So that Impetoad does like a group heal, and then everybody else procs off of that and suddenly does a ton of damage, kind of related to. Do I just do a glitch wave? They're kind of just all resistant to everything I've got. Let's just finish the Lop unit because they actually do a decent chunk of damage. Yeah, just having fun combo moves that trigger off of various effects and abilities and whatnot. I'm thinking about this because I play a lot of board games, and one of my favorite things about some board games is when you take an action and it triggers another action, and maybe that triggers another action, then gives you a resource that you can then use to trigger another action. It creates this like really fun action chaining effect that feels super satisfying. It's like setting up a bunch of dominoes and then knocking them over. And so I crave that experience from a lot of video games, but especially RPGs. Because I think they have the most potential for interesting team combination effects, and weirdly, very few of them do. You know, it's the thing I always bring up is my distaste for how so many RPGs have status effects like poison, and how many of them just have bosses and enemies that just ignore it. It's like, here's Zerbag, the ogre lord, and you stab him with a poison dagger and he takes 5 damage. If you had a regular damage or a dagger, he would have taken 10. So you stab him with a poison dagger, he takes 5 damage. Except for the poison doesn't proc. And so you've stabbed him for 5 damage, and right, we want to just take him out. Stab him for 5 damage, no poison procs. You just end up wasting all of your damage potential trying to proc poison on this guy, when you could have just had a regular dagger to stab him normally, and that would have just been infinitely more effective and better. Weirdly that this was so underleveled, considering this feels like a total bonus zone. At no point did the plot bring me out here. Oh. What was I going to say about these things? Oop. There we go. Are they running away from me? No, I think Cop Dog was just running. That was a noise. Where am I going? I don't know if I think this is the right way. No, this is not the right way, but it is a new way to go. But yeah, so it's always super disappointing to try and pursue a poison build in these games, only to find out that no, you know, half the bosses are immune to poison for literally no reason. It's not like Zerbag is like a swamp ogre. You know, he's not Shrek. Not that I have any idea if Shrek is immune to poison, but you know, usually there's like some expectation of like, okay, yeah, the guy that lives on the frosty mountain is going to have some ice resistance. The dude with the wolf pelt draped over his shoulders ain't going to feel the cold nearly as much as, you know, beach bod surfer god man, something like that. Okay. We want to go the opposite direction? Maybe. Well, this is giving me a bunch of spirit stones at the very least. Okay, so we got that. So all we have to do is get the top section. That's the only one. What was I going to say about any of this? Oh, is that guy Doryagoon? Maybe. Yeah, it is. So I have to take out 3 of these guys. Well, that's easy. Seismic step just because they're so low. And so, like, the great disappointment on all of that is, 1, yes, now you have this whole build that is completely worthless. 2, there goes, like, a lot of your build potential. Because why would you ever build around the idea of status effects as, like, a team composition if they're completely worthless to you? It makes sense, like, you go into the poison zone, it's like, oh, yeah, this whole poison build, completely worthless, ain't gonna work. You know, it's just not gonna function. That I can kind of understand. You know, then it's like, oh, I'm going into the poison swamp. Let's make sure that I'm prepared for this by going for a not poison swamp build. But on the same level, I want to play an RPG, like a big, long, classic RPG, where you can have one character that starts, like, mixing and matching a bunch of poison abilities. And then next character comes along and, you know, it's like, oh, it's the regular berserker guy. But there's, like, a niche build with an amount of equipment and skills and talents and whatnot that makes him also proc off of, maybe not poison, but status effects. And so now you've got 2 characters that have distinct, clear synergies between each other working together to have this fun mix of abilities that amplify both of them. I read I should have gone the other direction, but it's fine. They're going to just fast travel out of here because this whole thing seems kind of dead-endish. It was just a camp. Camp for camp's sake. And some loot. And so for a monster collection game, you know, I want that same experience. You know, I want a team that really is stacked around the idea of, like, healing or stacking a ton of crit. You know, if you have a bunch of monsters that have, you know, if crit do this, and then you have somebody else that's, like, constantly stacking more crit and or crit damage on them, either passively or actively with, like, enchantments or abilities or further proc effects, and you can kind of just, like, mix and match them and go for this, like, really hard crit build. This is why I love Monster Sanctuary so much, because it is that. It does that, and it felt so satisfying, because every time you'd find a new monster, you'd be like, oh, this is the linchpin character that I need to make this poison build work. Or, oh, this character lets me exploit both poison and fire. Or this character's like a tri-element thing that lets me do some, like, really goofy stuff. Here, I'm kind of ambivalent to most new monsters that I find, because near as far as I can tell, they do the exact same thing as every other monster. The only difference is aesthetic, at best. Okay, so that's this area. Area 23 is done. Don't know what's in the Titan Quarry, but I don't think I care. I think we're just gonna go back to Paradigm Landing. Oh, there are 2 shops up here. I should go check that. Then we'll continue on, go do actual plot stuff. And so, I got in a comment on yesterday's video. Oh, it's these things. Let's see, frittata. Oh, it's just all the food. Innate defense stat. Huh. Well, I mean, I have a ton of money. Small gift on the house. Maybe. The problem with these recipes is they don't really do much for me. What the heck is defense? Is it defense? Yeah, okay. How many of these do I have to buy to get the small gift on the house? It might be 10? Okay, we'll figure that out later. Let's see. Animon trait buff in battle. Spa stat. Nope. Okay. What this one? Spa and oh, maybe they patched it to make special defense. It's special defense and special and regular defense more obvious, or more obviously separate. I also don't know what Biscotti does, because we haven't figured out Animon affection yet. Okay, I got a small gift for 8 that time. So it might be 8. Buy 8 things. Unfortunately, I don't think I've actually found any of these that boost innate. Yeah, okay, so buy 8 things, get a gift. I haven't found anything that seems to give me a boost to my attack stat. It's a little unfortunate because a lot of my guys scale off of that, which is a bit of an issue. Well, do I want to overhaul anything? The main problem is Impetode is my team healer, but I like Materior. It's also my starter. But I have 2 fire types. But who would I replace them with anyway? I do have Spider. I like how Spider looks. But I don't actually know if that was any good. I'd have to look at its other abilities, I think is the main one. I definitely don't like him. He gives me nightmares. Yeah, like we might just stay the course for a while yet, because I'm not finding anybody that I want to put on my team. This is why I'm snobbish about monsters and not caring about their functionality, because when you're so overpowered that you barely even spend time in fights, why would you even care about their functionality? And once again, to go back to what I was talking about with the like comparison points between this and Monster Sanctuary, and I recognize I'm going to sound like broken record bringing up Monster Sanctuary when it comes to like talking about Monster Collection RPGs. However, it is, in my opinion, the best Monster Collection game ever made on a sheer combat mechanical basis. And the gold standard for like team composition. And so I care deeply about how my monsters look because I don't care at all what they do. Maybe eventually I will care a little bit more, especially once we're, you know, only getting the maximum evolutions of everything. And we're probably close to that, but I'm still finding some pre-evolutions or like tier 2 out of 3 evolutions. Okay, I took a wrong turn somewhere. Yeah, I'm supposed to go down here. But if all the monsters had more interesting utility, I think I would care. Its utility and effects, I think I would care so much more about what they do. And maybe I just need to keep looking and we'll find some more interesting moves later on. But I remain unconvinced that we're going to find anything. And so this goes back to my whole thing of like wanting Monster Collection games that aren't just Pokemon again, because I really want attacks and abilities that do fascinating things. I want team compositions where I really care about like, oh no, there's a natural synergy between Impetode and Luxecho that almost guaranteed you want to have them both together. Or not, you know, maybe there's some other combination that's also equally good. But that you have this, you know, pairing of characters or multiple potential pairings of characters where you're like, okay, so Luxeco has like a very clear synergy with Impetoad, but then also there's a very clear synergy with that freaking nose horror. Am I willing to put up with the nose horror on my team just to make use of this cool special effect? I don't know. I completely forgot I have a hoverboard. I should use that. But as it stands, the only reason why I care about getting a new monster is mostly just for, hey, I currently have a typing overlap, and that's bad. And I'd like to find somebody to replace them. But there's nobody that has like anything convincingly good, because the type overlap is between my favorite monster on a visual level and my best monster on a functionality level. And it's freaking tricky, man. Also, this is not the way I've gone the wrong direction. And so, I don't know. I want monster collection games that try and push the formula, and this does quality of life stuff that I like, but the gameplay is so just like rigidly Pokemon that it does hurt it a lot. And I think that's something that I'm going to consistently complain about when it comes to monster collection RPGs. You know, just how many of them have copied what is functionally a near 30-year-old gameplay format. One for one. And I think maybe that's part of the problem, is because it is the one-for-one copy. You know, you can add more monsters to the team. Ooh, this is kind of neat. You can also make the world more interesting to explore, and a lot of that stuff does help. But this is a really neat town, but I think it'd go crazy. I feel like the moment humanity gets to the point where we're replacing our actual plants with holograms is the moment that we need like a Butlerian jihad. Welcome to Sparenova, capital of progress. Came here a few times with my dad, but it was completely different. And if we came back a month later, it looked completely different again. Sparenova's always looking for new innovations, technologies. They can't sit still for a second. Anyway, seems like the perfect place to find some things out. Let's get to it. I'm a little concerned that I'm going to walk into this, do this plotline, and it's like pure tech bro propaganda. And if it is, I think I might stop. I have such little desire to experience stories that are like, hey, you know, technology is great. We're going to just like adopt it unquestioningly. All the while, there's like not a single living plant in this entire city. Like, that alone is terrifying to me. You know what the best part about being outside is? Is like just being around trees and stuff. Like, I love walking through forests. Flowers are nice. Bushes can be kind of cool. Animals, yeah, I like it. Trees, the freaking best. What absolute horror universe can you live in where you think this is a good idea? I'm going to soapbox on it a little bit because it's just such an awful idea. There's a game, admittedly that, well, I was covering Pragmata on this channel, and if you are not aware, the reason why I stopped playing is because Capcom's been using generative AI on the down low for their, like, concept art and stuff, and that's a big no-no for me because, I mean, one, ethics, you know, generative AI is built on a lot of stolen stuff, also burning the planet down, also a number of other things, also drives people insane and rots their brains. Like, I can relitigate this 1,000 times, and I'm sure it's not going to convince anybody that actually loves the stuff. Anyway, Pragmata had, it was the final zone that I was in and running around. It was actually bothering me a lot, because there were 3D printing trees out of, like, weird moon nanites. And that was bothering the hell out of me, because the guy should have been freaking out about that. Welcome to my dull abode. What can I do for you? How can people from around here live in a place like this? It's also sterilized. Where's the passion? Where's the personality? I miss home. Now they got a proper look at you. You're a Lumen, right? Maybe you can give me a hand. Okay, super mighty play. Okay, so they want furniture. If you give me one piece of furniture of each type, I can liven the place it up a bunch. Okay, so I'll have to come back. Really wish quest givers were better marked, just so I could, you know, find them. But it was freaking me out because like the implication was like, no, we're 3D printing these trees with like this special moon night nanite stuff, and it's no different from like real nature. And that sort of thing always puts me in that kind of like mindset. It makes me think of all the tech bro people of like, we're going to use this like wonder technology to solve cancer or climate change and stuff. And then it's like, hey, this shit just like pollutes the hell out of the nearby environment. And that, I think there's a phrase, is this a Jurassic Park quote? I think it is. It's like, you were so focused on whether or not you could, you never stop to think whether or not you should, or I'm butchering it, but something to that extent. And I think about that often nowadays when it comes to like technology and stuff. Like, this is awful in a way that bothers the hell out of me. Because you absolutely would have some people starting to be like, oh yeah, plants no longer naturally live on planet Earth because we've just completely screwed the environment to the point where like they just don't survive, or there's a bunch of invasive pests or who knows what. This city desperately needs a fast travel. I do kind of like running around it, but there's just not much here. Okay. Yeah, you can say Pepper and ask for help, but that's weird. Let's see what I was gonna say about this. I don't know. The whole plants and trees thing. Like, oh, you know, plants no longer can survive on planet Earth because we've just screwed the environment up. Too many invasive species, too hot, bad soil, any number of things. Let's see. You absolutely will have tech bros selling, like, fancy fake trees that can quote-unquote grow. Like, God, I'm glad that I will never live to see nanites be a real thing, because tech bros are absolutely going to figure out how to screw it up in, like, the worst possible way. This is not a point of interest? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Sign up for the match. Where is anything? Where am I? There's just a giant freaking door. Is this where I'm supposed to be? I don't know. Hello? But I've been running into a lot more media that is uncritically tech optimistic. Let's see. In a way where it's like, here's this, like, you know, wonder technology, or oh, what were we? We're watching some movie. Yeah, I don't think I can do anything here. This is probably the plot dungeon or something. Or maybe this is where the match is held, actually. But it was like some sci-fi movie, and oh, we were watching Star Trek. I think it was Star Trek Discovery, and it was like, you know, great scientists like Einstein or Elon Musk, and I like withered into myself hearing that, because Elon Musk, one, is not an inventor. He's a nepo baby that just bought a bunch of tech companies and then claimed credit for everything. Do you think he came up with the Tesla on himself? The only reason why Elon Musk was able to, like, the Tesla car even exists is because a bunch of actually good, you know, designers and engineers made the damn thing, to the point where they actively had a role in the company where somebody would effectively follow Musk around and kind of both translate for the guy, but then also make sure that he wouldn't just completely screw things up by, like, giving inane demands or coming up with terrible ideas like, oh, I don't know, making the Cybertruck a boat, which it can't be. And, you know, him promising that and demanding those features makes the car more expensive and also less reliable. Where am I going? I don't know. Oh, it's this thing. I can actually just go to the Lumen Club. Okay, that's a huge buff. But I have trouble with this whole tech optimism thing from like a plotline perspective, because 9 times out of 10 it's like so uncritical that it just ends up holding water for, I mean, honestly, the worst people in the world. Welcome to Sparenova City. Okay, no matter what you're looking for, you'll find it here, and if you don't, we'll invent it tomorrow. This makes me feel terrible, I'll be honest. You're not the first person to ask that today. Unfortunately, the captain's out of town on a mission, and until he comes back, we can't do any missions. The requests are piling up. It's causing quite a few problems. Leave your full name and we'll contact you as soon as we have a clear idea of how to cut down the number of requests. Huh, what now? Why is it always so difficult to book a match? Nah, it doesn't matter. We can use the extra time to find someone who knows something about my arm. Sorry for interrupting, but you're Trey, right? I've heard so much about you. And I also know about your mission. We're all rooting for you here at the Lumen Club. If you want my advice, you should go to the Luminary. Who's the Luminary? Zero, the regent of Sparenova City. People say he's the one who inspires all the inventions around here. All of them, huh? I think it's time we pay him a little visit then. Because I don't mind tech optimism. One of my favorite books in the last X number of years. Because I stopped reading books for a while when I was in college, just due to sheer lack of availability and time and space and some other things. But I read a book called... Oh, give me a second. Okay, the book I was thinking of is A Psalm for the Wild Built, and its sequel, which I do not remember the name of it. It's a very tech-optimistic book, but in kind of an interesting way. Effectively, the core premise is that humanity invented robots, machines, you know, effectively automated the hell out of everything, but in such a way that it was kind of bad for the planet. I don't need advice, especially spending money on it. But yeah, so they had made humanoid robots, and then kind of all of a sudden, all the robots gained sentience, you know, full AGI style, some more than others. And more or less universally said, hey, this sucks, we don't want to be here anymore, and left. They all just, as one, kind of in like a short period, departed for the wilderness and went off to kind of do their own thing. Humanity, meanwhile, saying, oh shit, we've been, you know, abusing these machines, making them do horrible stuff, you know, working in terrible conditions, no rest, no, you know, enrichment. We've been making them work awful jobs forever. And that kind of makes us weird monster slave owners for sentient creatures. We will never make another sentient machine on purpose. And so through a series of like, through a lot of hard work and effort, they reconfigure all of human society so that it's now like a lot of really eco-focused green tech stuff and very much like one with nature kind of technology. And it's not like they got deep into the hows and the whys of how the technology worked, but that humanity had come out the other side of like high-end technology industrialization, said, oh shit, this is terrible for us, it's terrible for the machines that we're making work, and it's terrible for the planet. We're just going to completely switch gears, put a lot of work into making a society that actually is like in tune with nature and ourselves. And so it ends up being a kind of spiritual book without really much in terms of like faith. Very Buddhist-ish. Or maybe overtly Buddhist, I don't know. And I like it because it's tech optimistic in a way that actually felt interesting and not hostile. Whereas like a lot of other tech stuff, it kind of feels like the prelude to Horizon Zero Dawn, where it's just like, oh, look at all this like cool technology, all of these things that we can do. And there's no like warning signs of like, hey, maybe this is actually a terrible idea. You know, maybe putting the radioactive super monster at the bottom of the lake is this terrible idea. I'm sure there's going to be an aftermath on the nuclear heart thing, seeing as it seemed to have maybe just run away. But that's a whole plot line in and of itself that really could be delivered on so much more extensively. Okay, high alert. Reports of chaos throughout Logos. Against the Luminaries Council, the captain went on a mission alone, so the city wasn't left unguarded. Guard is strong, but we always work together. I'm worried. Okay, I don't think this is the correct location. Probably. I'm a little lost. But you know, if you've never seen Horizon Zero Dawn, the entire premise of it is that humanity makes thinking machines, super reliant on them, so on and so forth. We make autonomous combat robots that can, you know, gather resources on site and use that to rebuild themselves, repair themselves, or build more of them. Which unfortunately then translates to they start eating dolphins and then trees, environments, people, cities, whatever, to just constantly fight an eternal war, and so humanity has to go live underground where the robots can't find them anymore. And, you know, it's very much this somewhat realistic doomsday situation of a Grey Goo event, just without that much for nanites-ish. And the whole time you're playing Horizon Zero Dawn, you're getting all of these audio logs of kind of the preamble, the lead up to this disaster where the world is destroyed. And it's like a significant portion of them were like, look at all this cool technology we're coming up with. It's so great. Oops, we caused a climate apocalypse. Okay, we're going to start fixing that, but also we're going to use all this tech that we've invented for cleaning up the environment to also make weapons of war that are fully autonomous and can just destroy the world on their own again. Oops, we destroyed the world again. It's like, come on. But whenever I play any kind of media that's like super technology, tech positive, without any of the like, hey, but what if this turns out to be like the worst thing ever? Or even just leaning really hard into, no, actually, this is going to be the worst thing ever, and there's pretty much nothing we can do to stop it, no matter how good the positives are. So whenever we run into a plotline like this, where you have hologram trees, the fact that no person reacts to that with, like, utter shock and horror causes me to react with shock and horror. Anyway, are you here for another idea? Yes, Luminary, I've been thinking about it for days, but I keep having creative blocks. You worked on the city's climate control project, correct? I'm proud to have done so. Our people are delighted with the innovation. Without a doubt. Do you not think our Lumen could benefit from it somewhat in the field? Maybe we can make the technology portable. Our current means should allow it. This is a terrible idea. You have my gratitude, Luminary. Weather modification is terrifying. It can be a good thing, but do it wrong and now you've got, you know, forest fires and shit. Or flooding, and being able to do that on a local scale is bad. You pretty much have to wrest control of all of nature just to make it work well. So, yeah, and sometimes taking from one part of the world deprives another. Oh yeah, you know, if a mountain, for example, frequently gets like snow and rain and whatnot, and then you start cloud seeding, I'm going to say 50, 100 miles away, the moisture that you're putting into those clouds to then bring rain down on, say, like an arid environment, you know, an area where with a bunch of fields and whatnot for farming. If you start cloud seeding around that arid environment, the mountain, you know, 50, 100 miles away might not get as much rain as it used to, and all of a sudden that mountain's burning down consistently because it's not getting enough rainfall anymore. You really have to be careful with weather modification. So he's the Luminary. That guy stands there giving out advice and he's worshipped for that? Well, you're looking for his help, right? I just hope it's worth it. I've come to ask for some information about my arm. Well, not just that, actually. What was it that Capon said? Trey Mark 1? Does that mean anything to you? Can you hear me? Please excuse my silence. I was reflecting. You and your friends are rather unusual. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Truthfully, I really do not have anything to say to you. My role is to guide my people. I inspire their innovations. I make sure that progress never stops. Your questions have nothing to do with me. Go to the library or talk to some inventors. Maybe the Arcelia archives have the information you're looking for. There's no trace of it in the archives either. I came here because I don't know who else to ask. The time I spend with you is time that I'm not dedicating to helping my people in their research and progress. I've got no intention of leaving without a response, not after coming all this way. The Luminary has nothing to say to you. Watch your mouth, outsider. I'm not talking to you. Hey, Luminary. Get away from him now. Well, at least they're somewhat establishing that this guy sucks and clearly knows something. I think he was even sweating for a little bit there. Also, God, these guards are just absolute garbage. I am admittedly overleveled. I've been exploring a little bit too much, but like the fact that I got a 15 level advantage here is a little rough. Stop. Yes, Luminary. Luminary, if I may. Trey has cutting-edge robotic parts, even by this city's standards. Uncovering their secrets would be a huge leap forward for science. Isn't that what you're looking for here? A better future? Why is it glitching out? Oh, I'm glitching out. Damn, if only we'd been in the field too. Then we'd have lost you two as well. It wouldn't have changed anything. We could have at least tried. Instead, you dragged us away from the front lines to chase after your ridiculous legend. This situation isn't ideal, true. But don't forget where we are. Sparanova's the city of hope. As long as there's someone who can imagine a better future, that future's possible. We'll make it possible. Your words are persuasive, and I admit you have aroused my curiosity. Pepper. Hey, at your service. She's our Navi, the artificial intelligence that runs the city. You will complete some tests under her supervision. Can you just answer us? The results of her tests will help me understand you better, and respond appropriately. Until then, goodbye. Hey, wait a minute. What a nerve. To take the test, come and find me at the Lumen barracks, on the highest floor in the city. I never said I would. Well, anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it here. Oh, my Toxicol can evolve. I forgot he was still in the party. I mean, sure, why not? Still not really sure if I care to have the trash bird and keep it around, but on the flip side, there's no reason not to have the trash bird. I do need them to hack teleporters and the moving walkways. Hopefully at some point we get another one that I like, but I haven't found any that I really like. But it weirds me out. I'm not really big on the whole monsters made out of or using trash thing. It just feels like this thing would be really stinky. And like, I'm the one in the household that takes the trash out and it gets stinky and the trash room is stinky and I don't want it. I don't want it. Garblisk. What the hell? Alright, well, I'm gonna leave this here, and say I'll see you next time. I can't promise I'm not going to be somewhat ranting about the dangers of unchecked technology and, you know, tech bros ruining the world. Because, boy, they sure do be ruining a lot of things. Anyway, so for now, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.